The following is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Blackmore. We are Minnesota.
The quest started nearly 5 months ago, and tonight the WCHA regular season comes to a close with Minnesota looking for an outright championship. They can get it if they can gain a split with the Badgers. Minnesota was beaten last night, but so was Minnesota Duluth. The Bulldogs fell in St. Cloud, so the Gophers lead by 2 points with just this game remaining. Minnesota is the outright champs if they can beat the Badgers on their home ice here tonight. Welcome inside Mariucci Arena with Kevin Gord. I'm Anthony LaPanta. The final night for Minnesota, and a team that has finished in the middle of the pack the last 3 years has a chance to finish it off with a title tonight.
What a special night this could be. You couldn't script it any better on senior night. Still something to play for. Your arch rivals in from Wisconsin, and yeah, you're looking for revenge too.
Last night's games around the WCHA cemented a part of the playoff picture. The top 4 seeds are set. Minnesota will be the 1, Duluth will be the 2, Denver the 3, North Dakota the 4. We know that Anchorage will be here next weekend. We know that Minnesota State will go to Duluth next weekend. Still a lot on the line for those 4 teams at the bottom. They'll be the seeds 5 through 8, and Wisconsin still has a chance. They can stay number 9 with a win here tonight, or a Bemidji loss, or they could slide to number 10.
Yeah, Wisconsin has an awful lot to play for, and they're playing some of their best hockey of the year. Only 1 senior in the lineup. This is a young team under a very good head coach in Mike Eves that seems to be coming of age.
Minnesota all season long has bounced back well on Saturday nights, and tonight they'll be challenged by a Badger team that dominated in all phases of the game last night. But 6 times earlier this year, Minnesota has lost in league play on Friday night. 5 of those they've bounced back for a win. The only exception was a game in Denver where they certainly played well enough to win, gave up a goal late and then another in overtime. Included in here a split gained in Madison when they turned things around on Saturday. They've shown the ability to do it all year. Tonight they get an added bonus because they also bring their best player back into the lineup.
Yeah, they certainly missed Nick Bukestad last night. This guy does everything for Don Lucia's Gophers. He's on their top line. He's the key to their power play. He even goes out and kills penalties with that wingspan like an airplane that can take up so much of the rink. This guy has so much skill. He's one of the best players in college hockey. You can't tell me his absence didn't have a trickle-down effect throughout that entire roster last night. So if the Gophers are going to remain super on Saturday, you might as well get your big guy back right before the playoffs.
Bukestad's been one of the top snipers in the WCHA all year. Tonight, the Gophers will look to him to gain the split. We set the game plan next. The Gophers go for the split tonight against Wisconsin in the final regular season game of the year. Before we drop the puck, let's set the game plan.
The game plan starts with the visitors from Wisconsin. They need to get to the power play. You do that with hard work, establishing a forecheck, and be disciplined without the puck. That power play struck gold twice last night for Wisconsin. For Minnesota, they've got to shut down that top line for Wisconsin. Final dress rehearsal before the postseason. Don Lucia and his team need to figure out who that shutdown line will be. It'll be a great test tonight. That Wisconsin top line produced 4 goals in last night's game. And for both teams, it's all about getting that second and third look around the net. You pay the price, you go hard to Bloody Nose Alley, and look for that loose junk around the net. The team that does that will win tonight.
The Gophers look to split the series and split the season series. It's the final regular season night for the Gopher seniors. We'll drop the puck next. Senior night here at Mariucci Arena. 7 Golden Gopher seniors will play their final regular season home game at Mariucci Arena tonight. They honored their parents before the game tonight. Among them, the captain, Taylor Matson, and maybe this year's MVP and goaltender, Kent Patterson. This Gopher senior class will be remembered as the one that got the Gophers back on top in the WCHA as they clinched at least a piece of the title last night. It's the Gophers and the Badgers in Game 2 of the series here tonight. And let's set our Northland Ford goaltender matchup. Joel Rumpel gets another start for the Badgers. The freshman was brilliant last night, stopping 26 of 27 Gopher shots. And on the other side, Kent Patterson goes for Minnesota. 23 wins on the year, and he leads the nation with 7 shutouts on the year. Badgers have been dominant at Mariucci lately, 5-1-2 in their last 8 in this building, including last night's 4-1 win. Little centers in a dangerous play in the opening moments. Bukestad leads the rush for Minnesota. Takes the return pass. Budish fires. Saved by Rumpel. Rao to the point for Alt. Alt takes a long look, and then his shot deflects wide. Marshall fires, and a save by Rumpel. Great pace in the first 30 seconds here tonight.
And a great atmosphere, too. The building is buzzing right now. The crowd is into this game. Both teams with good looks at the net. Patterson diving out to make that poke check, and then a couple of good looks by Minnesota in on Rumpel. Love the pace.
Cross ice pass to Mersch, deflects off of his stick into the corner. Mersch plays to the far corner, a centering pass intercepted by Hansen, and the Gophers are 2-on-2, maybe 3-on-2 at the Badger line. Hansen in deep, trying to center, but it was broken up by McCabe. Out to the point, Paranto with a shot. That hit some traffic on the way, and Ramage grabs it for the Badgers. Wisconsin starts back the other way. It was very physical in the first few minutes last night. It's been fast here in the opening minute tonight. Schmidt from Minnesota to the Badger line. Stops inside, whips it across, and Hansen bobbled the pass. Now he feeds Howla in the circle, but that's off the mark. Ramage intercepts, and the Badgers come back with Brendan Woods. Woods dumps it in from center ice into the far corner. Paranto back after it for Minnesota. Gophers break out with senior Nico Sacchetti. Poke checked away by Little at center ice, but the Gophers there to cover up. Condon carries in, he fires on goal, saved by Ruppel, and Matson is ridden hard into the post by Eric Springer as Ruppel holds on to the puck. Referees tonight, same crew as last night. Brian Thule and Scott Bokel, the referees. Tony Check and Jeff Schultz are the linesmen.
Minnesota looking for more of a net presence tonight. You can see Taylor Matson trying to set the tone and be a good leader. You know when you go down there, you're going to probably get hit like Matson did, but you also can intimidate a goaltender. If you continue to crash the net, goaltenders start to think about that. They get jittery, and they give up rebounds.
Rumpel gave up his share of rebounds last night. Minnesota just did not take advantage. Condon pokes the puck to the far corner. Dahl, the first man there for the Badgers. He takes a bump from Helgeson and winds up flat on his back. Condon to Hall for Minnesota. Nico Sacchetti carries out for the Gophers. Sacchetti up the right wing. Waits for Condon, then fires on goal. Rebound, hops loose, and Justin Hall plays it down low. Sacchetti tonight skating with Matson and Condon on the Gophers' third line. Larson will center Saratori and Miller on the fourth line. All the seniors dressing tonight for Minnesota. 6 of them in the lineup. The only exception is the backup goaltender, Jake Kramer.
You can see the tone again being set by all these seniors. Joey Miller out there, the Wayzata native, throwing his weight around. The intensity level very high early from both teams.
Marshall turns it over to Clark. Clark fires. Patterson steers it to the corner. Marshall poking at the loose puck, and Joey Miller's there for Minnesota. Schultz ridden into the wall by Larson. Saratori grabs the loose puck for Minnesota to Budish, who fires just wide. Clark on the loose puck up the right wing for the Badgers. Clark forced to the outside by Paranto. Centers. Maven up against the end wall. Bumped off the puck by Paranto. Great crowd here tonight at Mariucci Arena. It was full last night, but they didn't have much to cheer about. Budish to Bukestad. Bukestad to the slot, a shot saved by Rumpel. Bukestad making an immediate impact. He didn't dress for the Gophers last night after being banged up last Saturday in Omaha against the Mavericks.
Yeah, love to have Bukestad back out there, especially this weekend here. Final regular season game of the year. Don't want to see him sitting the whole weekend. He got nicked up, but he'll be the type of guy that can make or break that top line for Minnesota. They were not the same without him last night.
Bukestad drops to Budish, who fires, save Rumpel, rebound, and Bukestad tipped it just wide.
Boy, Rumpel red hot right off the hop here.
Schmidt to Warning. Warning high in the slot, fires to the far corner, and the Badgers are able to gain control. Ramage around to the near side to McCabe. He feeds Ryan Little. Ryan Little last night, goal and an assist for the Badgers, snapped a 7-game scoreless streak. Part of the Wisconsin top line that dominated the action. Zengerle, 4 points last night for Wisconsin. Has it poked away by Hall, but regains control. Across to Ramage, who fires, saved by Patterson. And Warning has it for Minnesota. Threw it behind Hansen at center ice, and it comes free into the Badger zone.
We talked last night, Anthony, about a dawdling pace early and how that favored Wisconsin. It played out just that way. Tonight's pace, electric, up and down the ice. This is exactly the way Minnesota wants this game to go. They want to dictate an up-tempo game, and so far they're getting it.
Gophers have a 6-1 edge in shots on goal. Last night they had only 8 shots in the whole first period. Sacchetti fires. It was blocked on the way. Condon centers. Sacchetti was tied up. Condon quickly on the loose puck for Minnesota and plays it down low. Rumpel behind the net. Badgers clear to the line. Condon knocks it out of the air and forces it right back into the Wisconsin zone. Springer across to Faust. Back to Springer, who feeds Poppy at center ice. He takes a hit from Mark Alt, and that draws a roar from the crowd. Minnesota loved the physical play that they saw in the first 10 minutes last night. Matson to Alt at center, who dumps it in. Simonelli and Schultz, the top defensive pairing for Wisconsin. Crisscross behind the net, and the Badgers are 3-on-3 at center. Dahl up the left wing, fires. Patterson with a save. Rebound deflects to the corner. LeBate trying to feed Schultz up high, but it's out of his reach and all the way back into the Wisconsin zone.
You never reach out and touch intensity. It's something when you watch the game of hockey you can feel. And last night, the Gophers were off. You didn't feel that energy and that intensity. I know we're only 6.5 minutes into this hockey game, but you can certainly see the difference. And more importantly, you can feel the difference in their motivation out here so far this evening.
Badgers bring it in. Navin fires, saved by Patterson. Left the rebound right out front of the net, but Larson's there to grab it for Minnesota. Simonelli for Wisconsin. Across to the near side, McCabe. His pass redirected into the zone by Navin. Paranto picks it up for Minnesota. Paranto fights through a check, got to the red line and dumps it in. Ramage there to pick it up for Wisconsin. At center ice, Clark bumped off the puck, and Hall has it for the Gophers. Budish. And the Gophers are offside at the line. We get a whistle and a break. Great pace early. No score between the Gophers and the Badgers.
Lisa Ferrata, he's on the door! The Gophers take the lead on 2 quick ones.
No score, Minnesota and Wisconsin, but a much different feel to the opening minutes here. Minnesota had 6 shots in the game's first 5 minutes.
Yeah, last night Minnesota kind of laid back and let Wisconsin dictate the tempo. Tonight they're taking the game to the Badgers. It's early, but they're throwing pucks in the net. They're banging bodies. They're winning board battles. It's just a different vibe in this arena, and they've got the crowd into the game, which I thought was something they really missed out on last night. Big crowd last night, big crowd tonight. You got to use that to your advantage.
Warning, digs it loose. Howla sends Hansen into the Badger zone. Hansen forced to the outside, wheels and fires. Howla was right there, nearly got the tip. Howla to Warning in the corner. Warning trying to poke it loose. Ramage battles. Hall at the near point for Minnesota. Walks to the high slot, bobbled the puck. Gophers able to keep it in the zone, however. And now Zengerle has it for the Badgers. They didn't force this Wisconsin top line to spend much time in their own zone last night.
No, they really allowed that line to dictate the tempo and be on the attack. And one thing about offensive lines, if you can push them back in their own end and make them spend time and energy playing defense, it takes a lot of starts, a lot of wind out of their sails when they get back on the attack. And it'll pay dividends later in this hockey game. You may not score now, but you're building. And when you're putting pressure on that top line, it can only be a good thing.
Zingerle's numbers last night, a goal and 3 assists, push him to second in the country with 36 assists, fourth in the nation with his 48 points. Quite a season for the sophomore.
Pretty impressive, too, on a team that doesn't score a lot. He's not surrounded by a lot of great weapons. You made that point last night, and I certainly concur. This kid's got great skills, not a very big body either. And playing in this league, you have to learn how to really use your speed to avoid some of those big bodies that want to take you down.
Poppy brings it in for the Badgers, poked away by Alt. Woods around behind the net looking for Mersch. Badger defenseman always aggressive. Faust pinches in to hold the zone. Patterson whacks it up against the end wall. Poppy comes away with it for Wisconsin. He's harassed by Marshall. Mersch joins the battle, but Rau comes up with a puck for Minnesota. Across to Budish, who fires it in from center. Faust harassed by Rau in the corner. And the Badgers quickly break back. Poppy with it up the right wing. Dumps it in just before he's ridden into the wall by Budish. Paranto back to pick it up for the Gophers. Rau tips it in, takes a light bump from Schultz. Simonelli. Before he's hit by Bukestad, he's able to get the puck to the near side for LeBate. LeBate lost it to Rau at neutral ice, but Rau waited too long, and the Badgers take it right back. Paranto. Early lead for St. Cloud State. They beat the Bulldogs last night in a thriller 2-1. Hanowski has them in front 1-0. Gophers have already wrapped up the #1 seed, but they'd love to win the title outright tonight rather than share it with the Bulldogs.
You also want to play your best hockey going into the playoffs, and if they can duplicate this type of effort so far for 60 minutes, they're going to be tough.
Quick release by Schultz, and Patterson had to make a pad save.
Patterson's still trying to find his footing. I've watched him closely here the first half of this first period. Anytime you get the hook, still a confidence battle in between the pipes there. It's something he'll have to work his way through tonight, and I think he'll be fine. But early on, you're seeing him give up some rebounds that he normally doesn't put out in the slot. We'll see if that continues. He can start to gain that confidence and get back on track.
Condon dumps it wide of the net. Badgers back to pick it up in their own zone. Hall tries to hold the zone and can't. It deflects out of play. And we get a whistle. We're past the halfway point in a scoreless first period at Mariucci. No score tonight. Until last night, nobody had played in the nets other than Kent Patterson. He was pulled after 2 periods, but Kevin, it wasn't all him.
No, Wisconsin had a game plan. They were going to put bodies in front. They were going to try to take away his vision. Look how difficult it is for Patterson to track these pucks. And when you take away a goaltender's comfort level and vision, you're going to present a lot of problems. You can see on this play right here, Tyler Barnes eventually will end up tipping this puck in. Very, very tough night for Kent Patterson, but certainly Minnesota allowed Wisconsin way too much time and space in the slot. Got to be much stronger in front of your net, clearing those areas for your goaltender. And Patterson, I think, will work his way through that confidence because he's an even keel, kind of flatline type of goaltender. And when you come off a game like that, it takes you a while. You cannot fake confidence. You have to earn that back. Made a couple of nice saves. You'll see his game ramp up as this 60 minutes goes on.
Patterson has been so steady for Minnesota all throughout the season. Second in the league with his goals against average. 23 victories on the year, including the 7 shutouts, 6 of which have come here at Mariucci Arena.
He is the single biggest factor for what lies ahead for this young hockey team. They're going to go as far as Kent Patterson will take them. I believe he's the best goaltender in college hockey when he's on his game. If he can play the type of hockey we've seen throughout most of this season, they are going to be a very tough team to beat, but it really is going to come down to him playing at his highest level.
Helgeson in his own zone for Minnesota. Tipped into the Wisconsin end by Budish. Ramage back to pick it up. Ramage battles with Rau. Rau emerges with the puck, tries to walk out front. Bukestad has it. Bukestad to Hall. Hall winds and fires. It was tipped, but just wide. Bukestad fights through Zengerle's check. Don Lucia matches ones with ones here. Bukestad now Rau battling. Rau tries to center, kicked out, rebound. Budish fires it right into Rumpel. What a shift for the Minnesota top line, and I believe we're going to have a Badger penalty as Budish and Rau were relentless around the net for Minnesota.
And I love that Kyle Rau did not retaliate. He got the face wash. He watched the official's arm go up. He did not retaliate. This is just good old-fashioned hard work. Might have been a hold right there. Minnesota is winning those one-on-one battles all over the rink, and it shows up in scoring chances. Here's the facial. Rau, being a young freshman, finding a way to overcome some of these situations. He doesn't retaliate. He gets his team a power play, and Mike Eaves has seen his team be very disciplined lately. Minnesota only had one power play last night. With Bukestad back in the lineup, this could be a very tough scenario for Wisconsin tonight.
Toyota key stat, power play last night. The Badgers had a pair of goals. Minnesota had only one chance. Wisconsin has allowed their opponents only 14 power play chances in the last 6 games. Their penalty kill is last in the league. They can't afford to be short. One of the worst penalty killing units in the country this year. Alt fire saved by Rumpel, and the Badgers clear.
I think it's really important for Minnesota to score a goal here before this period's over. You've got a hot goaltender in net for Wisconsin that's feeling good right now. He's beat you in 2 of his 3 starts. You got to send a message. A power play goal here would be a good start.
Condon around behind the net for Matson. Intercepted and cleared. And the Gophers will change power play units with 80 seconds left in the man advantage.
Yeah, the number 2 unit came out, established a decent offensive zone presence, but now it's time for the big guys to step up, and they get Nick Bukestad back to this power play. Look for some big things from big number 27.
Update from St. Cloud. Hanowski has scored again, and the Huskies lead the Bulldogs 2-0. That game carries weight only in that Minnesota could win an outright title, but you mentioned it off the top. Not only are seeds at stake, momentum into the playoffs at stake, and the last thing the Bulldogs want is to head into the first round of the WCHA playoffs on a 2-game losing streak.
Now that gets in your head right away, and I think it's important for UMD to find some offense. This is a very gifted hockey team that likes to play up-tempo hockey. Well, they scored 1 goal last night. They've got the donuts so far tonight in that first period, and they need to figure something out in a hurry because you definitely want to have something you can build on going into next weekend. And boy, Ben Hanowski, that guy is one of the best pure goal scorers I've ever watched. He just finds his way to the score sheet night in, night out.
Gophers on the power play. Rau on his backhand, flips it wide. Bukestad there to pick it up for Minnesota. Feeds Nate Schmidt. Now Howla at the top of the circle. Howla goes down low to Rau. They'll trade spots. Rau to Howla, centers right through the crease. Bukestad finds it. Feeds Schmidt high in the slot. Schmidt to Bukestad. Across to Howla, top of the circle. Howla to Schmidt. Bukestad winds and fires, and a stick save by Rumpel.
Good save by Rumpel. Great puck movement so far by Minnesota. Razor sharp.
Bukestad into the circle, across to Howla. Handcuffed him. Howla recovers. Schmidt to Bukestad. Hansen tips, and it's over the top of the goal. Rau centers, intercepted and cleared by the Badgers.
Fun to watch this power play when they're clicking, and they really look like they brought their A game tonight.
Power play comes to an end here. Minnesota with a couple of chances, but they come up empty. Barnes drops to Zengerle. Zengerle poke checked away by Hall, and Helgeson has it for the Gophers. Badgers are at full strength.
Here's that power play in our second look. Watch Minnesota's puck movement. Look at that little deflection, just missing the upper corner.
Helgeson off the wall to the line. It sneaks by Ramage. Larson hustles after it, but McCabe is the first man back for Wisconsin. McCabe at center. Zengerle's in behind the Gopher defense. Zengerle fires, and a glove save by Patterson. Little on the rebound, blocked by Hall. Barnes loose in the slot, a shot. That's blocked by Saratori. Badgers with some good chances. Barnes tries to center. Broken up by Larson. Barnes recovers. Behind the net, Little feeds Zengerle. Zengerle fights through Hall's check to Ramage at the point. Ramage waits, then sends to the corner. Little there, watched by Larson. Poke checked away by Helgeson. Larson has it. Feeds Joey Miller, and the Gophers finally able to get to center ice. Condon dumps to the corner, sidesteps Springer's check. Centered, looking for Matson, intercepted by Ramage. Big check thrown by Sacchetti. Badgers come away with the puck, and Mersch has it. Lost it to Matson at center. Ben Marshall up the left wing. Marshall plays it in for the Gophers. Matson the first man on it. Gophers with a 10-6 edge in shots on goal. But we are scoreless late in the first period. Condon. Matson. Alt at the point. Fires, saved by Rumpel.
Wow, what puck movement from down low all the way to the point, trying to stretch that D-zone coverage.
Condon dumps it in, but the Gophers were heading off on a change. Alt steps up to intercept. Alt hammered as he enters the Wisconsin zone. Woods got him with a high elbow. Poppy back after it for the Badgers, but Warning quickly on the puck to tie him up. Howla and Faust battle. Howla with it, back of the net, centers for Warning. His redirect was wide. Schmidt to Howla. Howla fires, saved by Rumpel. He got just enough of it to steer it wide. Hansen looking for Howla in the slot. Badgers forced to ice it, but it's on goal, so it's waved off. Paranto back. Listen to the roar of the crowd as the Gopher forecheck continues to cause problems. Hansen fires. That's just wide. He got a lot on that one.
Yeah, and he had Sam Warning right in front of the net. I don't think Rumpel ever would have saw it. Now we've got a tackle and another power play coming from Minnesota. They are just flat out outworking Wisconsin. They've turned what the Badgers did to them right around on them from last night.
Schmidt bobbles the puck. That will get the delayed penalty against Wisconsin. Minnesota goes on the power play for the second time as LeBate tackles Paranto at neutral ice.
They've been through a lot. There's no question that I think there's been a lot of frustration. They've grown with the program. Obviously, they've had some good times, but more than anything, they haven't had a lot of good times. And so, what I'm pleased about is how they've kind of rallied together and they worked extremely hard this offseason to make sure that their senior year can be something special. And they're close to it. They haven't accomplished it yet. But if they continue to work and do the things they've done all season long, there's no reason why they can't end in a very successful season and leave something as seniors.
Don Lucia talking about this senior class. They have not played in an NCAA tournament game. They've amazingly played in only one Final Five game, and that was the play-in game when these seniors were freshmen. And they were beaten by Minnesota Duluth in the play-in game the last 2 years, knocked out in the first round. This team looks poised for a much more successful postseason run.
Yeah, they certainly do. And those young freshmen that were there the last time Minnesota was at the Final Five have grown up. And you've seen that leadership kind of take a hold of this hockey team starting way back in the summer. They came in with a purpose. They put the passion back in putting that M on the front of their sweater. And it's carried over to a terrific season. Now they've got to cap it off. And that needs to be a playoff run this season.
Gophers on their second power play. Bukestad carries into the Badger zone. Intercepted by Schultz, and he fires it into the crowd. And the Gophers will get a face-off in the offensive zone. You have a chance to help determine the Arby's value player of the game. All you have to do is send a text to 234-234. Value space jersey number of the Gopher player that you think provides the most value tonight. In our post-game show, we'll let you know who you've selected as the Arby's value player of the game.
Plenty of time left in this power play. 83 ticks to get something set up. It hasn't been as easy this time around. Wisconsin's penalty kills elevated their intensity now to try to match Minnesota.
Hansen alone out front. And the puck deflects off of Rumpel. Badgers gain control. Little's able to clear.
Rumpel's dodged a couple of bullets this period. He's been sharp. He's made some big saves, but there has been rebounds there. Minnesota knows they continue to put pucks in the net. They're going to get some second and third looks.
Matson carries in. Back to Schmidt. Schmidt fires, saved by Rumpel, and he hangs on. 53 seconds in the Gopher power play. Tomorrow, NASCAR heads to Phoenix The defending champion Jeff Gordon will look to defend his title against a full field of the world's best drivers. Fox Sports proud to bring you exclusive coverage of the Subway Fresh Fit 500 Sunday at 1:30 Central on Fox.
Don Lucia will switch up, put unit number 2 out. Mark Alt at the top here. Didn't come in known as a big offensive weapon, but you've seen his offensive numbers elevate throughout the season. He made a huge play at Nebraska Omaha last weekend in a 4-on-4 scenario. Got involved in the rush, looked like a forward doing so, scoring a nice looking goal.
Alt had only 5 points in his first 13 games this year, but has had 15 points in the last 23. Marshall to Matson to Budish. Drops it back to the point. Alt goes down low, takes a return pass. Across to Marshall. Matson. Alt fires. It was blocked, and Little is able to clear. 90 seconds in the period. This will do it on the Gopher power play.
At that time, Mark Alt had his mind made up. As soon as he saw Ben Marshall crash the slot and he released to the high end, he was going to fire the puck. But sometimes when a player's in that lane, you need to fake that shot and work your way around.
Gophers 0 for 2 on the power play. And the fourth line gets a shift here late in the period. Good scoring chance. But a bouncing puck wound up wide. Simonelli fights through Miller's check. Zengerle across to Schultz. Dumps it into the Gopher zone and heads off on a change. Justin Hall for the Gophers. Starts up the right wing. His pass tipped at center. Howla hustles after it. Howla around behind the net to Miller. Miller withstands a check from Springer, centers, Howla fires, skate save, Rumpel, and warning fan on the rebound. What a stop for the Badger goaltender.
And what a play by Joey Miller, paying the price, winning a board battle, and looking like Wayne Gretzky in his office, putting that puck onto Howla's stick, but a nice save down low by Rumpel to keep this game scoreless.
Mersch tips it to the Gopher line. Barnes just onside. Across to Faust, but that escapes the zone. And as we enter the final 10 seconds, the Badgers have to regroup. Howla for Minnesota. Dumps it in, 5 seconds left. And the first period will come to an end in a scoreless tie. Great chances for Minnesota throughout, including this one in the final minute, as Joey Miller fed the slot. Take a look at the pairwise rankings here from Jake Hansen coming up on our first intermission. That among the 15 stops by freshman goaltender Joel Rumpel. Much better first period for Minnesota than what we saw last night, but nothing to show for it on the scoreboard. 0-0 after one at Mariucci. Tom Chorski with Jake Hansen next.
Do you know what the U of M does for you? From farms to breweries and orchards to markets, discover how the University of Minnesota is cultivating a new crop of Minnesota businesses.
Do you know what the U of M does for you? From hooves to hands and paws to possibilities, discover how the University of Minnesota is making medical advances for all Minnesotans.
Fox Sports North. I'm joined now by Associate Head Coach Mike Genzel. Mike, pretty solid, good period there. What's the message going into the second?
Well, we like our pace right now. We just got to execute a little bit better offensively. We got to get the puck wide with some speed on the attack. We got to try to look for the second flow coming in or chip pucks down and go work out a cycle game a little bit better this period.
Very good. Thank you.
You bet.
Anthony and Kevin, back up to you in the start of the second period.
Thanks, Tom. Mike Genzel, the associate head coach here for Minnesota. He'll be a hockey dad next weekend at the state high school hockey tournament. His son Jake and the Hill Murray Pioneers advanced to the AA state tournament last night with a win over Roseville in the Section 4 AA championship game. Pioneers unseeded. The brackets were set earlier today, and Duluth East, Maple Grove, Egan, and Edina were the 4 teams awarded a seed. And St. Margaret's, Moorhead, Hill Murray, Lakeville South, the other 4 combatants in what I think is the deepest AA field that we've seen in the last 6 or 8 years.
Only non-number 1 seed is Benilde St. Margaret's, and we both agree they might be the favorites to win this thing the way they played against Minnetonka here earlier this week on this exact ice surface. Should be a great tournament.
And many times you'll get at least one team in the field that you consider somewhat of a fortunate draw. I'm not sure there is a team like that. Lakeville South, probably the lowest rated of the 8, and they've got a guy with 99 points on the year. They'll face Duluth East in the first round. We're underway in the second period. Bukestad fires. Rumpel with a save. I'm not sure he knew where the rebound went. It had deflected over the top of the net. Marshall fires. That goes wide. Rao on the loose puck for Minnesota. To Bukestad in the corner. Bukestad digs it loose to Marshall in the circle. Flips it toward the net. And Rumpel smothers. We're going to face off in the Badger zone.
This matchup tonight with Bukestad back in the lineup has been dominated by Minnesota's top line, and what a complete reversal of fortune it has been so far through the first nearly 21 minutes of this game compared to what happened last night for Wisconsin's top line. Minnesota had no answer. That Badger top line in on all 4 goals, but the Bukestad line has really taken over this hockey game. However, they can't yet solve the goaltender Rumpel. Minnesota needs to get a goal and get rewarded for this work.
Hansen walks out front. Puck rolls off the end of his stick. And the Badgers are able to poke it out to neutral ice. Nice job by Brendan Woods to break up that Hansen chance. Warning for the Gophers. Pokes it ahead. Howla has it at the Badger line. Howla throws it on net, and Rumpel gloves and holds. Another faceoff coming in the Wisconsin zone. The Gophers, with last night's Duluth loss, clinched the #1 seed in the playoffs. They know they'll be back here next weekend against Alaska Anchorage. Minnesota Duluth knows they'll be at home against Minnesota State, but there's still the outright championship on the line tonight. And the Bulldogs are down in St. Cloud. The Huskies lead 2-1 after 1 at the National Hockey Center.
I don't think Minnesota's looking at the scoreboard tonight. They're just worried about winning this game. It's their arch rivals from Wisconsin. It's the border battle. And the season series is on the line. If Wisconsin wins tonight, they win the season series. And that's something that these Gophers definitely want to avoid.
McCabe in his own zone, around behind the net to Ramage. Warning, plays it into the corner for Minnesota, but Ramage intercepts. Mersch at the half wall. At center ice, Woods lost it to Warning. Hansen tried to get it to Howla, but partially fanned on the pass, and the Badgers play it down low. Paranto now starts out for the Gophers. Sam Warning at center. Enters the Wisconsin zone, centered. Hansen was tied up by Ramage and couldn't redirect. Mersch fights his way out to neutral ice. And as the Gophers complete a change, Paranto goes back to pick it up. Warning fell, got it to the line, but not out. Paranto now carries to center for the Gophers. Into the Badger zone, bumped by Little. Faust to the far side. Mersch tied up by Condon. Badgers get it out. Gophers play it right back in, have to retouch, and Faust will set up for the Badgers. Spins away from Condon, feeds Ryan Little. Zingerly into the Gopher zone, drops it to Faust. Faust tried to center, was broken up by Hall. Bit of a dangerous rush for the Badgers that materialized out of nothing.
And when Zingerly's out there, good things can happen in a hurry for Wisconsin. He went coast to coast for one of the goals last night, and he nearly made another brilliant play there to get Wisconsin on the scoreboard.
Barnes dumps it out to neutral ice, but it's out of play. And a face-off coming at center.
Saw Mike Eves double shift that top line to try to get them away from the Bukestad line. They came out there that time right after a shift against Minnesota's top line. They rested for about 30 seconds and were right back on the ice. Ended up out there against Taylor Matson and Minnesota's third line. We'll see if Eves, knowing that Lucia has the last change, can continue to try to avoid that one-on-one matchup, which Minnesota has owned, as we talked about earlier.
Larson, one of the Gopher seniors in the lineup tonight. To Miller, another of the seniors. Marshall fires wide. Larson after it on the far wall. Serratori in the corner. Taken down by Simonelli, whose helmet comes off. And we get a whistle and a faceoff. You mentioned the season series between these teams has been very even. More on that in just a moment. Doug Wook's 2012 hockey camp coming up at Breezy Point Resort and Ice Arena. Girls early July, then the boys July 15th through the 20th and 22nd through the 27th. You can register at dougwook.com. Camp is in his 27th year, Doug and his family, current and former Gophers, all among those who will instruct you at the camp. The Gophers and Badgers have been a very evenly matched season series, Kevin. In fact, 3 of the last 4 years, the season series has been a split, including last year when the teams were 1-1 and 2 against each other. Gophers have not won a season series from the Badgers since all the way back in 2007 when the Gophers won 4 out of 5.
Badgers are buzzing right now. The first real attack that they've had sustained against Minnesota on the forecheck. Patterson made a nice save down low, and then good support by Mark Alt and the crew in front of the net. Last night, Wisconsin was able to take some liberties and get in position in front of the net. Tonight, Minnesota playing much stronger in front of their own goal.
Gophers starting to assert themselves physically. Tom Serratori, not surprisingly, right in the middle of it.
Yeah, this is exactly what you want from Serratori. If you're going to be out there on that fourth line, you've got to go out there and set the tempo, make big hits, get the crowd into the hockey game. And that type of play doesn't show up on the score sheet. But I can tell you one thing. You've got everybody up on their feet down behind that Wisconsin net, and you follow that up with your top line, and if something good happens, it all ties together here.
Toronto dumps it in for Minnesota. Simonelli battles with Bukestad. Zingerle to Barnes, and the Badgers are 3-on-2 at the Gopher line. Pass was behind Little, poked loose. Barnes has it back. Hands it off to Zingerle. Zingerle from the top of the circle has his shot deflect wide. Budish has it for Minnesota in the corner. Chips it off the boards, and Rao. Now Budish enters the Badger zone. Bukestad just inside the line. Bukestad waiting. Watched closely by Schultz. Throws it toward the slot. Rao was tied up. Schmidt holds his own for Minnesota. His pass makes it all the way through on goal. Rumpel got a piece of it. Rao was tied up out front and wasn't able to redirect. Simonelli with a long one looking for Little. Deflected off of a Gopher, so there's no icing. And Hall goes back after it for Minnesota. Warning to Hall in his own end. Helgeson turned it over. Mersch from point-blank range. Pad save by Patterson.
Best save of the night for Patterson because he really didn't have time to get set off that turnover, and he reacted quickly and made a nice pinball flipper type of save, getting the left pad down on the ice in time.
Helgeson dumps it in. Springer sets up behind his net. We're in past the 5-minute mark of the second period. Still no score between the Gophers and the Badgers. Springer hands it off to Mersch. Mersch scored a goal last night for the Badgers, his 14th of the year. Faust fanned on it, and the Gophers gain control. Long pass springs Howla up the left wing. Howla taken down. Mersch takes away the puck, and Poppy has it up the right wing for Wisconsin. Poppy to the slot. His shot deflected just wide. Marshall had Moyer tangled up out front. Condon for Minnesota hits the Badger line, drops to Matson, fires, and a save by Rumpel.
Through traffic, good shot by Matson. Another nice save by Rumpel. Minnesota needs to find a way to solve him. He's working on a really, really good weekend right now, and I can tell you from a goalie's perspective, the longer this thing stays at 0, the more confidence he has, and that's something you don't want if you're a Gopher.
Condon battling with Navin at the Badger line. The Badgers able to play it back into the Minnesota zone. Condon dropped to nobody, penalty coming against Minnesota as Moyer was tripped by Matson, and the Badgers will go on the power play for the first time tonight. No score, second period, Wisconsin on the power play. Here's a look at the penalty as Nate Condon gets his stick caught in the skates of Moyer.
Yeah, when you make a drop pass to no one at your blue line, it's a dangerous scenario, and he had to react quickly and put his stick down, took his man down, and now Wisconsin's power play unit, which struck gold twice last night, gets their initial try tonight. We'll see if Ken Patterson can build off that big save and keep a much improved performance going at his end.
Badgers on the power play. They scored twice with the extra man last night. Mersch to Barnes. Zingerle Top of the circle, very patient. Zingerle walks in, his shot deflects wide. Badgers quickly on it. Zingerle rolls it around, and Schultz hustles after it at the far point. Zingerle with it. Goes cross ice. McCabe in the circle. His shot was blocked and cleared by Minnesota.
Once again, the Badgers are putting two bodies right in front of the blue paint, trying to impair Kent Patterson's vision on this power play.
Barnes bumped off the puck, but Zingerle has it. Centers. Schultz pinching in. Couldn't handle the bouncing puck. Barnes to Schultz. McCabe and Zingerle. Minute left in the power play. Schultz with it. Controls the bouncing puck. Feeds Zingerle. McCabe, and it was just off the mark. McCabe would have had a good scoring chance as Patterson was moving right to left. Mersch in the corner. Mersch on his backhand. On goal. Saved by Patterson. And on a dangerous play, Rau gets it out. Bukestad, shorthanded for Minnesota. Fires, and a save by Rumpel. He'll drop. And the Badgers quickly break out as the Gophers change penalty killers. Zingerle up the right wing. Drops it back to Barnes. Long shift for the Badger first power play. Barnes around to the far side. They've been on the ice the entire man advantage. 15 seconds left. Zingerle waiting. Feeds Mersch. Barnes, as he was knocked down, sent it just wide. Zingerle tried to feed Schultz. It comes loose to neutral ice. Gophers are back at full strength. Schultz races into the Gopher zone and fires wide. Shot by Poppy was blocked. Comes out to center. Boy, these Badger power play skaters have to be gassed. They were out for better than 2 minutes. Finally, McCabe heads to the bench.
Yeah, good attack zone time for Wisconsin. They moved the puck around and had Minnesota out of position a couple different sequences. But when they had their best chances, they didn't hit the net. And when you've got traffic in front, you've got to put the puck on the net. They didn't do that, and that's the reason we're still scoreless.
Centering pass for Hansen, intercepted by Springer. Penalty coming against Hansen as he took a man down behind the play. And the Gophers will go shorthanded again. Interference the call against Jake Hansen, who's barking as he heads to the penalty box, but didn't appear to be much question here. Watch the Badger chances on their last power play.
They worked their way to the slot. You got one little backhand on net, but a lot of big drives seem to misfire. And give Minnesota's penalty kill unit some credit too. They were down low in position, and then you see the penalty behind the play, and not a place you want to take a penalty. That guy can't hurt you on that rush. He's at the tail end of that breakout. Hansen knows it as a senior, and now you really put your penalty kill in a tough spot. It's very, very taxing to be chasing that puck. It's much easier on the power play when you set up. You can stay out there for 2 minutes because you're basically standing in a set position and moving very minimally. When you're killing, you're really on the chase. And so now we'll see if Minnesota can rise up and get this done one more time.
Bulldogs have scored twice in less than a minute. Lead St. Cloud 3-2, early second in St. Cloud. Badgers on the power play for the second time here. Pass to the point lines up all the way back in the Wisconsin zone. Justin Schultz, who had about 8 seconds of rest between 2-minute shifts, is back out there. LeBate to Mersch. Down low, Barnes. Hands it off to Zingerle in the corner. Zingerle to Barnes at the half wall. Barnes to Zingerle in the corner. Schultz. LeBate. Schultz fires wide. McCabe down low to corral the loose puck. McCabe whips it across for Schultz, off the mark. Bukestad sprawls, can't get it out. Barnes trying to feed Zingerle in the circle. Rau run down, results in a chance. Zingerle drops to Schultz. His shot blocked by Rau. Zingerle has it back. His shot deflects. Paranto tries to clear. Barnes scores, and the Badgers on the power play have the game's first goal.
I'll tell you one thing, you can't fault Minnesota's penalty kill. They did everything they possibly could. They were blocking shots, sprawling out to deflect passes. They were working as hard as you can possibly work, but sometimes You're down a man for a reason. Someone's going to be open, and through this disjointed play that bounces around like a pinball. Look at Barnes. Watch the weak side. Watch Patterson's right shoulder. Watch number 7 in red right there, drift out from the corner. You always have one guy open on the power play, and that's exactly the most dangerous player right there. The Burnsville native gets it done. Huge goal for Wisconsin. It happened twice last night where Minnesota took a penalty back on the attack in the offensive zone. Wisconsin made them pay with power play goals. It happened again here. Senior Jake Hansen takes a penalty leaving the offensive zone, and the Badgers make him pay it. Even though Minnesota's played well and outshot Wisconsin 20-11, they're down 1.
Bursch and Zingerle assist on the Barnes goal. 5th point of the weekend for Zingerle, and his 37th assist of the year. Came into tonight's game 2nd in the country in that department. Matson battling along the half wall. How do the Gophers respond? They've dominated the game at 5-on-5, but back-to-back Badger power plays lead to a 1-0 Wisconsin lead. A centering pass just out of the reach of Matson, and Little starts up the right wing. His shot is wide of the net, but Patterson will cover anyway, and past the halfway point of the second period, a power play goal for the Badgers, and Wisconsin's in front 1-0.
They've just shown me last year and this year kind of what I want to aspire to be. Honestly, they've done a great job with our younger guys. They've been great role models, and kind of shown us what it means to be a Gopher. You know, what at the end of 4 years, what I want to look like. And so I think just looking up to them and seeing what they've done, and hopefully I can follow in their shoes.
Sophomore defenseman Mark Alt talking about the impact this year's seniors have had on him already in his career. Senior night here tonight for Minnesota. These seniors will get a chance to play on this ice sheet again next weekend when the Gophers host Alaska Anchorage in the first round of the playoffs. Howla fights through a check. To the point, Hall, shot goes wide. We've got a penalty coming against Wisconsin out front of the net as Hansen was tied up by Simonelli, and the holding call is going to put Minnesota on the power play. Mike Eaves can't believe it.
Eaves is very upset. He doesn't get too emotional at every call, but this time he is going to do some barking, and student section on their feet, sensing a big opportunity for Minnesota here. They've got to find a way. Scored a goal at garbage time last night when they were down 4-0, but they need to make something happen in this power play, and probably deserve a better fate than this 1-0 deficit, but they were the ones that took that penalty, and ooh, I agree. That is a ticky-tack call, but the Badger in the box, the guys in the power play now to answer the bell.
Turnover off the face-off. Little has it for Wisconsin and dumps it into the Gopher zone.
Puck possession so vital in the offensive zone when you get a power play. You can't just give it right back. That was a critical mistake, because now you're going to have at least 25-30 seconds off the clock before you reset and gain control inside that Wisconsin zone.
Bukestad bobbles the pass. Hansen across for Rau, and now the Gophers set up. Howla at the half wall. To Schmidt. Bukestad across, looking for Howla. Howla in the circle. Feeds Schmidt up high. He and Howla trade spots. Howla high in the slot. His shot blocked, but he got it right back. Bukestad in the circle. Bukestad walks to the top of the circle. Down low to Hansen. Hansen backpedals, retreats. Minute 5 in the power play. Hansen shot saved by Rumpel. Rebound was loose out front. Rumpel thought he had it. Ramage takes Hansen hard into the wall. Howla trying to dig it loose. Dahl comes away with it for the Badgers and will dump it into the Minnesota zone. Wisconsin able to change all 4 penalty killers.
Great job that time by Minnesota to get the shot they wanted. They got a great look. They had a rebound and a yawning open net. Howla could not get there in front of the Wisconsin defender, and he was thwarted.
Budish after it in the corner. Springer around to the near side. Moyer back to Springer. Budish slams into the wall to intercept the pass. To the line. Marshall holds his own. His shot was blocked on the way. Condon taken down by Springer, and the Badgers can't gain control. Condon tried to feed Matson. Intercepted by Moyer, and the Badgers have it shorthanded. Springer at neutral ice. Plays it into the Gopher zone, and that should do it. for the Minnesota power play. The penalty against Simonelli is over. The Badgers are at full strength, and the Gophers are 0 for 3 on the power play.
Good offensive zone attack time. Sometimes if you don't score in the power play, that momentum can carry over shift by shift. You have to build off it now. As I mentioned, Rumpel's feeling good in that net. Get some bodies to the net. Impair his vision. Get a garbage goal.
Condon behind the net. Fights through a check. Matson joins the play, but Ramage comes away with it for the Badgers. Mersch up the right wing. Hits the Minnesota line. His long shot goes wide of the net. Rebound kept in at the far point by McCabe. Poked by Sacchetti out to neutral. And it's played with a high stick. Faceoff will come back in the Gopher zone. Fans, you don't have to miss a single highlight from tonight's game. Go to foxsportsnorth.com, click on the Gophers tab. You can watch any highlight you may have missed, or you can have the highlights sent directly to your phone by texting replay to 234-234. Whether you're on the phone or on the web, no reason for you to miss a single Gopher highlight.
Highlight chances, but most of them end up being big saves for Rumpel. Just a freshman in goal for Wisconsin. Big body, 6'3", 180. He can really stretch it out. He'll give you the rebounds, but you've got to pay the price and find your way to the net.
Moyer fires wide, and Patterson snatches the rebound off the end wall. He'll hold on. Faceoff coming in the Minnesota zone.
It's amazing how quick that time evaporates. We're already down to the 5-minute and 33-second mark. You see Mike Eaves behind the bench for Wisconsin. Like Don Lucia owns a national championship. Coach Lucia has a pair. Wisconsin has a way of just lulling you to sleep, even when you're playing at a high level and you're getting the tempo you want. They just have a way, well close without the puck, of just salting games away. And here we are late in the second period, and once again, Minnesota does not have a goal on the scoreboard.
Moyer into the Minnesota zone. Bangs with Helgeson. Moyer quickly on the half wall, ties up with Serratori. Larson and Clark fight for a loose puck, and Justin Hall has it for Minnesota. Hall took a hit as he tried to carry out of the zone. Helgeson to Serratori, and the Gophers come to center. Serratori tied up by Schultz. Miller tips it into the Gopher zone, and Minnesota's offside. We're inside 5 minutes left in the second period. A power play goal by Barnes, the only marker. Story of the game so far brought to you by Grand Casino. Tyler Barnes with a power play goal. What a weekend for Mark Zengerle. He's been the story all season against Minnesota. 7 points now in the 3 games against the Gophers, 3+ games. And Rumpel's been nearly perfect this weekend. Tonight he stopped all 21 Gopher shots that he's faced. Bukestad for Minnesota into the Wisconsin zone. Backhands to the corner. Budish tries to keep it alive. Then he throws a pretty good hit at LeBate. Bukestad and Rau for Minnesota. Rau center to Budish. He was tied up by LeBate. Couldn't get a stick on it. Rau to Bukestad. Schmidt. Fire, save Rumpel. Rau was right there. Penalty coming. And it's going to go against Minnesota. Little hits the Gopher line. Drops it back to Dahl. His shot deflects out of play. And it's an interference call against Kyle Rau. He was tangled up on the doorstep in the Wisconsin zone. It actually looked like he was tied up by the Badger defenseman originally. But Minnesota goes a man short.
We'll take a look at the replay, and there you see Rau right there. He stuck his hip out, though. You can see right now.
No question.
That's a penalty, and it's a good call. And again, it's an offensive zone penalty. You can't do this. It's just time and time again this weekend, you give Wisconsin power plays off meaningless penalties. Now, if you're taking away a scoring chance in front of your goalie, I'm all for it. The last two, no chance. You can't do it.
The last one led to a Badger power play goal. That's the only goal of the game thus far. This one goes against Rau, and the Badgers have their 3rd power play chance of the night. Wisconsin's power play has been getting better and better as the year goes on. McCabe fires off the crossbar. We had a lot on that one. McCabe, top of the circle. Schultz walks in. His shot deflects. Patterson down. And the rebound picked up on the weak side by Condon, who will clear.
Boy, the Gophers dodged a couple of huge bullets. First of all, that smoke wagon by McCabe off the crossbar, and then a weird bounce off the back dasher, nearly banked off of Patterson. It trickled right through the crease. Minnesota fortunate to still be down only one.
Zingerle to the point. McCabe back to Zingerle. Zingerle at the side, at the half wall for the Badgers. Feeds Schultz back to Zingerle. His backhand pass intercepted. There's a shorthanded break for Minnesota. Howell with Hansen. Schultz back for the Badgers. Howell fires, saved by Rumpel. Zingerle racing back for Wisconsin. Zingerle carries in, sidesteps a check, lost the puck to Hansen, and the Gophers peeling off valuable power play time for the Badgers here. Less than a half a minute left.
Good work that time, lugging the puck, dragging it back, killing that extra time. Crowd appreciates that. They're just waiting here tonight at Mariucci Arena. You can feel the energy in the building. Minnesota can get the next goal. This place could erupt. They're just sitting on one here.
Schultz in the corner. Schmidt for Minnesota. Penalty to Rau about to expire. Ramage at the line, holds it in. Gophers are back at full strength. Rau out of the penalty box, picks the pocket of Woods and plays it through neutral ice.
Smart play by Rau. He needed to get to the bench. The Gophers needed to get their lines, and now Rau just absolutely clocks LeBate. LeBate's down. He can barely stand on his feet. What a hit by Kyle Rau. He was going to go to the bench. He turned around. I'll tell you what, that's a good, clean hit. That's how you play the game of hockey.
And it's going to draw a whistle as the official just wanted to make sure LeBate was okay. He's hobbling to the bench. Ramage wants to know why it's blown dead. He thought the Badgers had a scoring chance, but watch the hit.
That's a good, clean hit.
Ooh.
That's how you play the game of hockey. On the edge, yes, absolutely. But a player in the neutral zone with his head down, you don't leave your feet, you don't get that elbow up on his chin, you put your shoulder down, you follow through your man, and I don't know what these officials are discussing. There's no chance this is a penalty. No chance. You can't call a penalty well after it's happened. There's no way. I mean, I can see that. I think Ramage wants a penalty. I don't think he was worried about the whistle. I think he wants a call.
Now the officials, none of them put their arm up.
Not
and
one.
as he was limping to the bench, they blew the play dead as if they were just worried for safety reasons. Then they started talking about it. Ramage started barking, and well, this would be somewhat unprecedented if you all of a sudden then decide to call a penalty.
I'm all for keeping the game safe, but don't take plays like that away in the game of college hockey. That was a good, clean hit. No head hunting, no leaving the feet. Elbow was down. This is just part of the game. And again, unfortunately, you got to learn when you're in the neutral zone. You got to have your head up. You can't have your head down looking at your toes. That is all in the responsibility. The player that got hit right there, and that's Joseph LeBate. And again, these powwows, penalties are not an open discussion. You've got an armband on your sleeve. Use it. If you see something, call it. This isn't a debate, all right? Let's play hockey.
There's no balance of power here. We don't have the House of Representatives over between the benches that gets a chance to weigh in on this. Let's see if Tom Chorsky can sort things out. Tom, what's the conversation like on the two benches?
Well, Coach Mike Genzel is absolutely losing his mind, and he doesn't understand why they're even huddling and why he's calling on the linesmen to weigh in on it. And he just thinks it's dumb. He says that, there's no red light on. You could probably hear him. He wants to play hockey.
But Tom, I agree. You played the game at this level. There's no reason for this delay. I mean, there's a good clean hit. Drop the puck and let's play hockey. This is not debate class here, for crying out loud.
Precisely what Coach Genzel is saying. Precisely.
Scott Vogel,
right.
He's still visiting with Mike Eaves. I agree with you, Tom, but whether good hit or not, the hit happened. The officials did not call a penalty. You can't blow the whistle, stop the play later to talk about it.
That's what Genzel says. He thinks they're screwing it all up.
This will be icing against Minnesota. Well, waved off.
We should have a debate on that one. Maybe we can make that call again. Come on, guys.
Hansen cross to the far side. The pass escapes the zone. Schmidt fires it in from center. Karams right out front, and Warning's pass was out of the reach of Hansen. Final minute of the second period. Paranto to neutral ice. Paranto regains control and hits the red line for Minnesota. Flips it in on the backhand. Minnesota in the midst of a change. 45 seconds in the period. Badgers with a 1-0 lead. A power play goal by Tyler Barnes. Little into the Gopher zone, fires it wide of the net. And Faust, with a half a minute left, plays it across to Springer. Faust up the right wing. Ryan Little dropped to Zengerle, who plays it in. The Badgers retouch. Schmidt with 15 seconds carries out of his own end to Bukestad at center. Bukestad on his backhand, cuts to the slot, and Mersch pokes it away. Just 5 seconds left as the Badgers come to center. Zingerle tangles up with Marshall, and the period comes to a close. Zingerle and Marshall throwing jabs at each other at the horn. Frustration starting to build with 20 minutes left in the weekend. Coming up in our second intermission, Tom Chorsky will visit with the goal scorer, Tyler Barnes. Don Lucia will weigh in on the impact this senior class has had on the Gopher hockey program. We'll visit with Gopher assistant coach Grant Petone. All that coming up during our first intermission. They're still barking in the corner. And the Badgers are 20 minutes away from their second road sweep in as many weekends. They had won one road game all year. Swept 2 at Bemidji last weekend. Have won the first here and are 20 minutes away from another. We'll hear from the man who has the game's only goal next.
Don't kid with COVID. mHealth Fairview wants you to know that what you do today will affect your family and our community tomorrow. Social distancing helps you avoid contact with those who may be infected with the virus. What can you do? Steer clear of crowds of 10 or more people. Keep a distance of 6 feet between you and others in public spaces. And if possible, work from home. Wash your hands, avoid big groups. Stay home, don't go out. We've all got to do our part.
Badgers? Boy, everybody from Canada is a hockey expert, aren't they? Former twin Corey Koski on hand tonight, watching as the Gophers try to wrap up sole possession of the WCHA championship. It's senior night here at Mariucci Arena, the final regular season home game for all Gopher seniors, including goaltender Kent Patterson. Here's what Don Lucia had to say about the impact Patterson has had on this Gopher hockey program.
What Kent has done is an inspiration to me for a lot of players. So often early in careers, if you don't get to play all the time or frontline role, guys are looking to transfer or bail. You know, he just continued to work at his craft, waited for his opportunity, and then, you know, became our #1 goaltender last year and hasn't looked back. And, you know, he should be able to end his senior year as an all-league type of player. And through his hard work and perseverance is why he's had the success he's had.
Patterson stopped 12 of 13 tonight, but the Badger goaltender, Joel Rumpel's been perfect. 1-0. 1-0 in favor of the Badgers after 2. Minnesota in danger of being swept on their home ice. 1 period left to decide this series finale. Fox Sports North supports Special Olympics polar plunge. Fox Sports North, the Minnesota Wild took the plunge today at Lake Calhoun with Mike Greenlake, Kevin Gorg, and the Fox Sports North girls. You can still show your support. Go to foxsportsnorth.com, click on the Fox Sports North supports banner to donate to the team. That's a fine looking dive there, Kevin.
Tried a cannonball, but I kind of slipped on the ice. We got to get you out there next year. I want to see really how that hair would react in icy cold water. I know mine didn't react very well, as you could clearly see.
It would weather the storm.
Absolutely.
It'll keep me warm.
It might float, for crying out loud. Who knows?
Yeah, I can get you something up there.
I need some help.
Well, the Badgers scored the only goal of tonight's game in the second period on the power play. Tyler Barnes.
Yeah, Barnes in the right spot. You watch him down on the weak side. Good attack zone time in the zone. And then Barnes, number 7 in red, just really in the right spot at the right time. Minnesota had done a great job of blocking shots and really impairing the shooting lanes, but puck came loose and Barnes was there, and Wisconsin, that's the difference in the game for them right now.
Second period stats brought to you by Menards. Minnesota with a 23-13 edge in shots on goal, 10-4 in scoring chances, but it's been the Badger power play this weekend. 3 power play goals for Wisconsin among their 5 tallies, and they lead the Gophers by 1 with 20 minutes left. We'll hear from assistant coach Grant Batolny next.
Gopher Hockey on Fox Sports North. I'm joined now by assistant coach Grant Batolny. Grant, a lot of emotion towards the end of that third period. Does that help or distract your team?
I think we got to get our emotions in check right now. You know, right? It's a big moment. We're a little uptight. We're a little nervous. We just got to throw it all out the window. One-shot game, and you know, you and I talked. We got to hit the second wave of attack coming in, throw some pucks at his feet, and we got to get through there. Their D are big and strong, and they defend, and they're going to defend this period. So it's going to be hard. And if we get 1, I believe we'll get 2 and 3.
About sums it up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anthony and Kevin, back up to you in the start of the third period.
Well, so far it's been hard to get anything against Joel Rumpel in this series. He has stopped 49 of 50 Gopher shots. It's going to be tough for Minnesota to finally get on the board. Kevin Gorg and the former coach Doug Woog. I'm Anthony LaPanta. Hope you're enjoying the game. Normally we get you second period, second night. Tonight we're saving the best for last.
Thank you. Always good to be up here with you guys. You do a great job. It's fun to be here. Let's go get them.
Need to get this crowd into the game. They're just waiting to erupt for something other than booing the officials as they left the ice. And it's such a big crowd, Doug. How important can a big play like a goal early be here for Minnesota to get the momentum finally on their side this weekend?
Well, they got about 2 choices there, I think. One is to score, all right? And the other one is to have a great penalty kill and then score at the end of it. Those will be the 2 biggest jives. I don't think hits anymore are going to keep the consistency of the crowd. Minnesota had one great shift in that second period. Boy, the crowd really responded. So a good forecheck is another way in.
Saw that number. The Gophers have been shut out in 7 of 11 periods against the Badgers this year. Interesting, in this series, the Gophers have not yet been outshot in a period, and yet they're 20 minutes away from being swept on their home ice. Ben Marshall in his own zone for the Gophers. We're underway in the final 20 minutes. Minnesota trying to ramp up an undisputed conference title. Rauda Bukestad, his backhander rolls just wide. Budish at the half wall for Minnesota. To the point for Alt. His shot blocked. Zingerle sprawled to break it up and then throws it out. Patterson will play it. That negates the hand pass, and Marshall starts out for Minnesota. His pass out of the reach of Bukestad. And it'll be icing against the Gophers. They will not be allowed a change. Faceoff will come all the way back in the Minnesota zone.
Well, my heart missed a beat there. That last 10 seconds, it looked like somebody's going to come in, like Marshall might tap it in our own net because our goaltender was out trying to make a play. You know, it's pressure's going to be on the Gophers, particularly if they don't get something done here in the first 10 minutes, the first half of this period, because the pressure will mount.
Yeah, they definitely right now are in search of something offensively. They've had plenty of chances, but they haven't been able to get that gimme. And when you're struggling to score goals against a team, sooner or later you need a goal like Wisconsin scored, where you go to the net and you're rewarded with a chippy rebound with 24 square feet of twine. They haven't had that, and right now Rumpel's hot and goal for Wisconsin. It's going to take something pretty special to beat them.
Icing again against Minnesota. Brings the faceoff back in their zone.
Well, they'll play a tight defense here. They'll play a trap or a house on the half of the rink. One guy will kind of shade the puck in. The other 2 will be mid-ice, spread across, 2 deep behind. So it'll be a 1-2-2, a house with a steeple on it. And you're going to see a lot of that this period.
Well, we got some pushing and shoving before the faceoff ever took place. Hoppy threw a pretty healthy cross check on the far side. Pushing and shoving may have been instigated by Paranto, as you see him throw a little stick tap at Hoppy's ankle, but no penalties called. Schmidt for Minnesota carries out of his zone. Paranto has to regroup for the Gophers. Sam Warning hustles after it, but Ramage broke it up at the line. It's offside. Our Sanford Health WCHA report. St. Cloud State has tied the game against Duluth. It's 3-3 there. Denver and Omaha are tied at 1. Denver's locked as the 3 seed, but Omaha has a lot to play for. They're trying to wrap up home ice in the first round. North Dakota and Minnesota State already know their spots. Michigan Tech and Colorado College in a critical game. Those 4 teams, Colorado College, Omaha, St. Cloud State, Michigan Tech, all still could finish in that 5 through 8 range. CC is the only one that knows they'll be at home next weekend. Dahl around behind the net. Toronto for Minnesota. The Gophers know they'll be here against Alaska Anchorage. Minnesota State knows they'll be going to Duluth. Matson fires wide. Sacchetti on it for Minnesota. Matson walks away with the puck. Matson plays to the point. Helgeson back to Matson. Matson on the backhand, gives it to Condon. Condon pinned to the boards by Faust. To the line, Helgeson holds his own, but it deflects to the near side wall. And the Badgers gain control with Springer.
Minnesota's got to come off the wall. When Matson's got that puck, he's got to come off the wall and try to take a shot on net. You can't keep going back and forth, drop passes along the rail. You got to take it to the net.
Justin Hall for Minnesota. Ahead for Howla into the Badger zone. His pass handcuffs Hansen, and it bounces free at neutral ice. Naven carries in and is wiped out by Mark Alt.
Wow, what a hit by Alt. He sensed his man his head down and he stepped up, made a good clean hit, knocked him right to the ice.
Howla chips it in around Schultz, gives chase and is the first man there in the corner. He fights with Simonelli. Simonelli grabs his stick. Alt fires looking for a tip, didn't get much on it. And the Badgers gain control with Clark, who fires it in from center ice.
Badgers got to be careful that they play too soft and too good a defense and not create any offense. On the other hand, Minnesota's got to gamble a little bit.
Alt springs, Rao, rebound, Bukestad going hard to the net, and we get a whistle. Bukestad takes a jab. Boy, this Badger club has been feisty here, and they're really going at it against the end wall. Gophers have to be careful here. Remember, anything significant could lead to further penalties into the playoffs next week, and you don't want that.
That's a sincere effort, boys, to get something going. That is not play, not child's play right now.
I'll tell you what, Bukestad went to the net hard, and I would be surprised if he doesn't get a penalty here for goaltender interference. Now, the arm didn't go up,
right,
but he did hit him. There's no question. That should have been a call.
And this should too.
And I agree.
This haul starts because Ramage and McCabe both go after Bukestad up against the end wall. Watch this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's called retaliation. That has to be called as well. I'll be mildly surprised, Luger, if at the end of this sequence it's not a horse apiece on one way or the other. But the problem I see right now for Minnesota is you've got some of your best players. They're going to be in the box.
Now I think Minnesota possibly gets an upper hand here. No, they won't. They will call Bukestad. The only reason I thought they might is because nobody signaled the goaltender interference. Then the skirmish ensued, which that part seemed like it should even out. But Bukestad is in the box, so it looks like it'll be 3 on each side. The captains get an explanation. Of course, one of the guilty Badgers is their captain, Ramage. So it's Ryan Little instead. Here's the explanation. Taylor Matson does not look happy with what he heard.
Well, Kevin, you make a good point. Some of the offensive opportunities that Minnesota would have if they had Bukestad and had Rao in there, it would be better than what they're going to have.
Minnesota's going to wind up a man short.
Wow.
Crowd's going to erupt. I'll guarantee it. They are not going to go for this.
Well, they protect the goaltenders all year. I mean, this is not an exception, but you guys said, though, there was no arm raise, no indication that a foul was coming.
To Wisconsin, number 19, Jake McCabe, 2 minutes for roughing. To Wisconsin, number 55, John Ramage, 2 minutes for roughing. To Minnesota, number 20, Mark Alt, 2 minutes for roughing. Minnesota 24, Zach Budish, 2 minutes for roughing. Minnesota 27, Nick Bukestad, 2 minutes for roughing and 2 minutes for goaltender interference.
Now, if you're going to call the goaltender interference, the arm should have gone up right away.
It didn't.
And it did not. Now, once the roughing ensues, I'm not sure why this doesn't end up at even strength.
And this is a double whammy because now you're shorthanded, already down 1-0, and your best player's in the box for 4 minutes.
Schultz fires up into the netting. Well, and you have to wonder if the lobbying done by Mike Eaves at the end of the second period didn't pay some dividends here. He gave the officials an earful for an extended period of time after the teams had left the ice about what he perceived to be a missed call on the Rau hit.
Yeah, and I kind of think the Rau hit was without a puck was interference in my mind, but I think Mike Eaves was talking about a shot to the head. Is what he was looking for a 5.
Only Rau could get to his head as if he left his feet.
Yeah.
He's about 8 inches shorter than that guy.
Warner ladders.
And the puck was in his feet. I thought it was a good clean hit, and I didn't see any official make any motion for a penalty call on that. And once it's done, it's done. You can't have a debate out there to change your call. That's not how the game is played. And now the Gophers have got to get this penalty kill against a hot goaltender. They can ill afford to go down by a pair.
4th power play of the night for the Badgers. They're 1 for 3. Schultz, Simonelli, back to Schultz, high in the slot. Zingerle had such a huge weekend with 5 points. Simonelli, his shot winds up out front. Patterson pokes it away, and Matson clears for Minnesota.
Good play by Patterson, Doug. He couldn't get his glove on that, so he used the stick to poke it away from danger.
Badgers with the extra man for just under a minute. Hansen pokes it away. Howla shorthanded for Minnesota. Howla walks in, scores!
Talking about it, you can get a goal, you get a short-handed goal. Kind of like that one. This crowd is ready now. It's up to the Gophers to go after them and create that momentum and catapult it into the next one.
As loud as this building's been since they swept North Dakota here way back in the first weekend of November, it is electric inside Mariucci. Let's see if these seniors on senior night, along with the rest of the team, can follow suit, because the building right now all over Wisconsin.
Still 20 seconds in the Badger power play. Howla unassisted, his 15th of the year, shorthanded to tie it for Minnesota. Faust to Springer. Looking for the back door. Patterson covers the loose puck. And a face-off coming in the Minnesota zone. Let's watch it again. Hansen doesn't get an assist, but he really makes this play.
He's the decoy, and I can tell you, Doug, from playing goaltender, you've got to respect that weak side guy. And when you do that, you drop further back in the net. And Howla read this, and he beat him brilliantly.
You get a lot of room yet to go there, but you don't dribble at your own blue line or the other team's blue line unless you want to pay.
Pay the fee. That puck's in the back of the net. That was a nifty move by Howla, and he sold it with his eyes, just like a quarterback in football. He looked over to Hansen to keep that goaltender honest, and he found that lane, and he used it with a nice little nifty backhand shimmy into the far corner. The power play is over. The game is tied, and this building is now on the side of the home team for the first time all weekend. You're going to see a big shift in momentum. I believe it.
Play was made by Hansen. We'll wait and see if he picks up an assist. He should get an assist on that goal. Right now it stands as unassisted. Nope, now they've added it. Hansen does get the assist. Credit him with the poke check at center, and then Eric Howland ties it for Minnesota.
Leads it for Rana. He's on the guard! The Gophers take the lead on 2 quick ones.
Hanging out at home probably like the rest of you.
But I've learned a lot about wood floors.
Tonight we got batting cage challenge.
As you can see, the Monopoly board is set up with a lot of hotels.
I'm gonna make the pancakes. Grace is gonna make the eggs.
You two are going to love the cupcakes.
Just gonna check on the homeschool crew and make sure everything's going okay here.
Stay strong, parents. We're gonna get this done.
All we can control is right now and trying to maximize our days the best we can.
I'm just so grateful for family, for friends, for loved ones, and the Big Ten.
Be a coach.
Be a teammate.
Be a friend.
Be a teacher.
Be a family.
We are a team.
We are a team. We are a family.
We got this.
We got this.
We can do this.
We can do this.
Eric Howell is shorthanded for Minnesota, and we are even at 1 heading down the stretch. The final 5 returns to the XL Energy Center March 15th through the 17th. It is the best weekend of the college hockey season. Get your tickets to the 2012 Red Baron WCHA Final 5 by visiting XLEnergyCenter.com or by stopping by the XL Energy Center box office. 5 skaters aside. Howell is upended just inside the Badger blue line. Schmidt dumps it in for Minnesota. Schultz back after it. He's hammered into the glass by Howell. Gophers with some jump right now as they've drawn even for the first time this weekend. Schmidt to Hansen. Gophers will be offside. They have to retouch, and that gives Schultz time to set up for Wisconsin. Simonelli back to Schultz in his own zone. Simonelli up the right wing, plays it in. Schmidt back after it for the Gophers. Off the glass to the line, and it sneaks by a little. Zengerle right back on the attack for the Badgers, has his pocket picked from behind by Rau. Gophers able to corral a loose puck as Wisconsin had to retouch. Rau tips it into the Badger zone, but Mersch flips it right back out. Back and forth through the neutral zone we go here, middle of the third period. Larson to Rau. Rau shot blocked by Ramage. He got it back. Ramage lost his stick. Larson keeps it alive. Marshall fires wide. And we're going to have a penalty behind the play as once again Ramage throws a check at Kyle Rau. And the Gophers go on the power play. Rau has a way of getting under the skin of just about every opponent. And here Ramage couldn't take it. Mike Eaves livid as his team will go a man short.
Well, you hit it right on the button, Anthony. He got under the epidermis right there. He got to him, got to part of the brain where you're not controlling. Watch along the side of the net here. And that's where the little 7 go. Oh, yes, there's no question about that.
How do you argue that? I mean, I know your dad was a terrific NHL defenseman, but come on, you can't even argue that as a captain. I mean, with a straight face, really. I hear a train, boys. I hear a train off in the distance. I'm telling you right now, if the Gophers score on this power play, look out, get off the tracks, because it's coming.
We used to call those Christian Brothers bow ties. They fit them right under your chin.
Gophers on the power play for the 4th time. They're 0 for 3 tonight, 0 for 4 on the weekend. They've not had much luck against the Badgers all year long. They're just 1 for 11 against Wisconsin on the power play.
And Bukestad still in the box, so Lucia puts out his second unit to try to buy some time. And if he can, maybe get Bukestad out the tail end of this power play.
Bukestad will be back in 5 seconds with the first whistle after that point.
Well, I'm sure Mr. Lucia is upset about that little. You should not be offside on a break. You should not be offside as you try to enter the line on the power play. You're looking for possession in the zone, not going for a pass and a shot in the first attempt to enter.
And it's a killer because if that offsides was 6 seconds later, you get your big guy back, and Don's okay with that. Now, chances are you're not going to see a whistle for a while. Bugstad's going to sit in the box.
Schmidt dumps it in for Minnesota. Karam's right out front. Sacchetti saved by Rumpel. Schmidt holds his own for Minnesota. Sidestep. Scores! Play by Nate Schmidt to hold the zone on the Badger clearing attempt.
Not just hold the zone. What an athletic play to do that. You're absolutely right. But then to have the presence of mind to get up and fake the shot. Mike Eaves is going to call timeout right now because I don't think his players can hear his instruction. It's that loud in this building. The people are rising to their feet. One of the best plays I've seen by a defenseman in a long, long time. He dives to hold it right at the line, gets up, fakes the shot, gets his man down, and then just absolutely unwinds, pulls it right by the red-hot goaltender, Joel Rumpel. And I'll tell you, this Gopher team is feeling it right now, Doug.
Well, I wish they had a baseball cap on him so he could make the little circle out in front of the dugout, tip his hat, because he has it coming.
Oh,
that
yes,
was a phenomenal play. And the guys are so juiced up, they just went right back over to the bench, high-fiving and jumping on each other. Unbelievable. What a play this is. All out effort and sticks right in the middle of the, like 10 off.
I mean, that's to hold that puck in is one thing. Then to fake the shot, get the player down, and have the presence and the energy to get that type of shot off. He's had an amazing season. Last year as a freshman, it did not go the way that I think Nate wanted it to go. He, at the end of the year, was an extra guy and really a forward. He's turned into an offensive weapon, the quarterback of the power play. Top 5 in the country in scoring from a defenseman. And if you know him, Doug, you know what type of kid he is. He's the kind of kid you want to be around. He's got that warm, fuzzy personality, team-first type of attitude. And he just put his team on his back right there and gave Minnesota their first lead of the weekend. All righty.
Pressure's off right now. Minnesota should just pile it on.
Bugstad walks to the slot on his backhand. His shot was deflected to the corner. Simonelli's there. It's an unassisted power play goal for Schmidt, who came in second in the conference in power play points, but 20 of his 22 were assists. Here he comes up with his third goal of the year. Bugstad shot kicked out by Rumpel. Barnes for the Badgers. Still a long way to go. More than 11 minutes in this third period.
Let's not forget when Tom Chorsky was talking to assistant coach Grant Patolny, he said we had tried to settle the boys down, and we reminded them if we can get one, we'll probably get 2 and 3. And so far, Coach Patolny looks awfully smart.
Hall back after it for Minnesota. Matson races through neutral ice to Sacchetti. He tried to center for Condon. It was broken up by Mersch. Matson to the line. Marshall for Alt at the near point. Long shot gloved and held by Rumpel. And Matson's taken down by Ramage out front. Gophers have been much more tenacious going to the net tonight than they were last night.
You're getting into positions right now where every shift counts. A dumb play can knock you out. Right now, the Badgers are on their knees because of a stupid play by Ramage. Will they get up and fight, or will they go down with another dumb one? We'll see shortly.
Right now, they're just trying to get their bearings. You know, that's the hard part about playing on the road in an environment like we have here. You're going to get the best of what Minnesota hockey fans have to offer when you bring those arch rivals across that Wisconsin border. And they, last night, were a frustrated bunch of Gopher fans. Tonight, they were just waiting, and they've been unloading on these officials, but now they're behind their team, and it's kind of like a big wave in the ocean. It comes, and if you're Wisconsin, you need to make a big play here to stem it, or it's just going to keep on rolling you over.
Marshall in the corner. Howla, who got things started for Minnesota with a shorthanded goal. Howla digs it loose. Leaves it for Hansen. Warning out of the reach of Howla. Hansen hustles after it on the far wall. To the point for Alt. Winds and fires, hit the side of the net. Badgers break back the other way. Poppy up the left wing. Drops to Mersch. Mersch tried to center. Marshall broke that one up. Mersch walks to the half wall. Stops. Feeds the point. Poppy's shot blocked by Warning, and it deflects out of play. University of Minnesota basketball team finished up its Big Ten regular season schedule this afternoon against Nebraska. Read Tyler Mason's coverage at foxsportsnorth.com.
Minnesota's got to be on the ball on face-offs now. In your own end, your D zone end. Don't be casual. Don't be running where you shouldn't be. Make sure center takes away center. And they have two nice little power play plays that they work, and they're pretty good at it.
Wisconsin got a goal off a face-off last night, the initial goal of the hockey game. That's a great point, Doug.
It's been maybe one of the very few points of concern for Minnesota this year has been defensive zone face-off coverage. Schmidt races in on the backhand, saved by Rumpel, and on the rebound it was fired over the top of the goal. Paranto holds it in for Minnesota. Great chance for Larson, but it was all started by the rush of Schmidt. Penalty coming against Joey Miller. And the Badgers will go on the power play just past the halfway point of the third. The momentum's all Minnesota. A shorty by Howla. A power play goal by Schmidt. 2-1 Gophers. Menard's game reset. Mark Zengerle assisted on the early power play goal by Tyler Barnes to give the Badgers the lead, but then special teams goals for Minnesota. Shorthanded goal by Howla. Power play goal by Schmidt. And Minnesota has a 2-1 lead. Joey Miller goes for boarding for Minnesota, and the Badgers go on the power play just past the halfway point of the third period. It's their 5th power play of the night. They are 1 for 4.
They've been good too, Anthony. Wisconsin's power plays had great attack zone time. They've moved the puck around smartly, and this guy with the puck right here, he is as good as it gets when it comes to offensive defensemen. Justin Schultz is the player that makes it happen out here for the Badgers.
Badger power play. Scored twice last night. Well, special teams been huge in this series. Schultz across, and McCabe bobbled, and the puck escapes the zone. So far, 5 of the 8 goals scored in this series have been on special teams.
None bigger than the shorthanded goal tonight, though, by Eric Howla. Minnesota needed that play, and it really changed the dynamic of this game.
Zengerle with it. To the point for Schultz. Across to McCabe. Zengerle on the near side. Zengerle walks to the circle, throws it on goal, saved by Patterson. And that's the first shot on goal of the third period for Wisconsin. It came 11 and a half minutes in.
As we showed you earlier in this game, Wisconsin's done a terrific job all weekend of putting bodies in front of Kent Patterson. They realize if he sees the puck, he'll probably stop it. And they put bodies out there to impair his vision, and it's caused havoc.
Great work by the Gopher penalty killers. Woods finally gains the zone with just 18 seconds left. Hansen gets it out for Minnesota. Ramage retreats with 10 seconds left in the Badger power play. Into the corner, and as Schmidt goes back after it, the Gophers are back at full strength. Penalty killers allowed just 1 shot on goal on that Badger power play. Woods and Marshall. Now Budish has it for Minnesota. Budish tried to flip it off the glass. Sounded like it deflected off a player on the bench, but no whistle. LeBate sidesteps Hall's check. Rao got it to the line where Budish has it. Zach Budish for Minnesota flips it cross ice. Bukestad hustles after. Simonelli for Wisconsin. See that Minnesota's been the best third period team in the WCHA all year long. Last night they scored the only goal in the final period. Tonight they have 2. Hansen offside as Rao waited just too long. Well, each night before we drop the puck, we set a game plan. We're going to have another Oh, they're going to take both of them. Hansen, I'm sure, will go for embellishment. More on that in a minute. Let's go back to your game plan.
Oh, Wisconsin has gotten to the power play. That's the good news. They've also got a power play goal. The bad news is they give a shorty, which has changed this hockey game dramatically. For Minnesota, they had to shut down that top line. Wisconsin's big unit last night had 4 goals. Tonight, only 1. So Minnesota gets the check mark there. For both teams' second and third looks, I think Minnesota's had the edge all night long. That's why they lead 30-14 on the shot clock. And here you'll see a little concurrent penalty. Yeah, there's some bad blood out there, folks. This is the 259th meeting. This is a big-time rivalry, and you can see emotions right now are getting the best of some of these players. Back to your point on third period scoring, Minnesota has been great in that category in the conference all year. They've outscored Wisconsin in the matchup this year in the third period, 7-0. With these 2 goals tonight, Minnesota now 47-18 in the third period for the season. Overall, that's plus 29, and that is a huge, huge advantage.
Called unsportsmanlike conduct minors against both Springer and Hansen. 4 skaters aside. Just under 7 minutes left. Matson trying to dig it loose for Minnesota. Helgeson really battling along the wall with Dahl. Boy, has it been an emotional series here in Minneapolis.
Perfect setup for the playoffs. It's had that type of feel to it, specifically tonight. Both teams have been playing on that edge, and it's a great dress rehearsal for what lies ahead in next week's opener with the playoffs starting on Friday night for both these teams.
A Badger win here tonight means a 9 seed and a trip to Denver. If they lose and Bemidji wins at Anchorage later tonight, they would fall to the 10 seed. I stand corrected. The 9 seed would mean a trip to North Dakota. The 10 seed would go to Denver. So Wisconsin looking at a difficult road trip either way. 4 aside for another half a minute. Schultz starts out of his own zone. Zengerle into the Minnesota zone. Watched by Bukestad. Drops it to Barnes. Barnes walks to the slot. Save Patterson, and Mark Alt swipes it away.
Alt bailed him out. Barnes had him beat. Puck was going in, but Alt came back and saved this hockey game right now. It stays 2-1.
Simonelli to Schultz. Down low looking for Zengerle. 3 seconds left in the minors against Springer and Hansen. They're back. We're 5 aside. Gophers enter the zone. Bukestad to the slot. Hansen partially fanned. Maintains control. Hands it off to Bukestad, who can't hold the zone. Schmidt at neutral ice. Less than 5 minutes to go.
That's going to be a smart play right now for Minnesota. Fresh bodies in the line change and dumping the puck in. Make the opposition drive the puck the length of the rink and attack. Don't give them the turnover they want in the neutral zone.
At neutral ice, Mersch fights his way into the Gopher zone. Battles with Schmidt in the corner. Badgers come away with the puck. Nice job by Matson tying up LeBate. Condon jumps around Ramage and hits the side of the net.
Nifty stick handling by the speedy Nate Condon. Almost a little dipsy-do, but he got himself too far to the corner. Really had no angle at the net on that one.
McCabe at center ice. Moyer brings it into the Gopher zone. Forced to the outside by Paranto. Center. Schmidt broke it up. Sacchetti off the glass and out for Minnesota. Warning gives chase. Warning's the first man there. He's pinned to the boards by Ramage. Less than 4 minutes to go. Gophers trying to put the finishing touches on the regular season championship. They win it outright with a win here tonight over the Badgers. Hall ahead to Hansen. Hansen into the Badger zone, waits for his line mates and dumps to the corner. Simonelli has it there for Wisconsin. Simonelli hits the red line into the Minnesota zone. His shot deflects wide. Bukestad in behind the net. Justin Hall gives chase for the Gophers. Budish tips it out to center ice. Schultz is there for Wisconsin, but now Hall to Bukestad. Nifty pass to Rau. Rau stops and fires. Stick saved by Rumpel. And the Badgers come back. Woods hits the Gopher line. Forced to the outside by Marshall. His shot was blocked. Poppy Tied up by Alt. Centering pass. Here's a shot that's blocked out front. Alt hustles after it in the corner. McCabe holds his own. Throws a heavy one off the end wall. Barnes looking for Woods high in the slot. Woods goes down low to Schultz. Schultz cross ice. Good shot by LeBate, but it was blocked by Alt. Schultz has such great rink vision.
Minnesota needs a whistle here. This line's been out here far too long late in the hockey game, and they're gassed. It's very difficult to play good defense when you have no legs, and that's where they're at right now.
Alt trying to get it out of the zone, but can't. Barnes holds it in. Now Alt in the corner. Bukestad tips it out. Bukestad off to the races up the left wing. Stops inside the line. Fires, and a save by Rumpel. We'll get a face-off in the Badger zone. 2:07 to go. Minnesota hanging on. The coveted MacNaughton Cup. Minnesota has already clinched a share of the conference title. The cup will be presented for the first time since 2007 to Minnesota. Coming up, we'll have it in our post-game show, Gophers Live, presented by CenturyLink. Third period dramatics tonight. We'll hear from coaches and players alike on a special senior night here at Mariucci Arena. The Gophers would like nothing more than to cap their championship season in style with a win here and an outright league title. They're just over 2 minutes away from that.
Wisconsin's coming hard right now, though. They found a big push here. They're on the edge, and they're doing all the right things. They're forechecking, they're putting pressure on Minnesota, but Gophers are trying to find the answer here and salt away now this final minute and 3/4.
Condon tied up by Schultz. Badgers come away with the loose puck behind the net. Zengerle starts up the left wing, drops it back to Mersch. Mersch battles with Matson, drops to Barnes. Barnes to Simonelli, down low Zengerle. Paranto got there first. Goaltender off with 80 seconds to go, and the Gophers are able to clear. Empty net for Wisconsin. Schultz to Zengerle. Zengerle's cross ice pass was tipped. Barnes is onside at the line, fights through Paranto's check. Schmidt to the half wall, but not out. Schultz across to Simonelli. Back to Schultz. Down low Mersch. Final minute at Mariucci. Schultz has his shot blocked. Simonelli to Schultz. Waits. Feeds Simonelli. His shot deflected out front. Patterson down. The puck was shoveled in under Patterson by Nate Schmidt. He comes away with it with a glove, and we'll get a face-off in the Gopher zone. 47 seconds left.
Nate Schmidt's been the best Gopher tonight, bar none. 29 in white's been awesome, and this was another game-breaking save where they're helping out Kent Patterson down low.
Toyota text question comes from Mandy in Maple Grove with the #1 seed already clinched. How important is a win tonight to build confidence into the playoffs?
I think it's huge, especially after what happened last night when you had kind of a flat effort. Minnesota was building to a crescendo. You want to leave with something special, and right now, you're getting that. What an atmosphere in this building tonight.
Big draw, Zengerle against Bukestad. It comes to the near corner. Budish hustles after it for Minnesota. Couldn't get it by Simonelli. Now it comes loose to the point. Barnes has it. Feeds Schultz. Far side, McCabe waiting, down low. Zengerle, a shot that hit the side of the net. Mersch and Helgeson battle. Howla trying to get it out for Minnesota. He does. Toward the empty net. It'll be icing against Minnesota. And with 15.5 seconds left, the faceoff comes back in the Minnesota zone. The last time the Gophers clinched the MacNaughton Cup, it was March of 2007. They completed a home sweep of Michigan Tech. It was the second of back-to-back league titles. Very different feel here because this is a senior class that has not finished higher than the middle of the pack in the WCHA.
No, and they've really turned this program around in one season. Taking an awful lot of hard work, and they've got 15.6 to finish the deal right now.
Simonelli to Schultz. Simonelli fires. It was deflected, and Patterson didn't see it. It wound up wide. 5 seconds left. Centering pass, hops by Woods, and the Golden Gophers, in outright fashion, win the WCHA championship. What a finish to the season for Minnesota. A season that started with an eye-opening sweep up at Minnesota Duluth against the defending national champions, and all year long, they've been ahead of the pack in the WCHA. Withstood a series of splits through the middle of the year, and now on their home ice against their arch rivals, the Gophers walk off as undisputed champs.
Awful lot of hard work behind the scenes. Hours in the weight room, skating all summer, coming into camp, the dedication, the two-a-days, the bonding that every young team has to go through when the young freshmen come in and earn their stripes. Day by day, it builds to one special night, and this is it. It happens to be final regular season game of the year and a special night for the seniors as well, who helped turn this program back around and put them at their top perch in the WCHA, and what a special time to do it too against a Wisconsin team peaking at the right time. And yeah, they're in that 9th or 10th slot, but they're not playing that way. They only have one senior, and they've played terrific hockey down the stretch. They've beaten Denver. They came in and beat Minnesota last night, and this was a hard-fought game. This was the perfect, I think, setup to how you need to win games in the postseason.
And if you think about what has defined this Gopher team all season, it's been the ability to bounce back on Saturday nights. They've avoided sweeps, with one exception out in Denver, all year long. And tonight's game was somewhat of a microcosm of that, down by a goal going into the third period and finding a way in the final frame to come out on top.
The Golden Gophers, number 19, Eric Howla. Tonight's first star of the game, with the game-winning goal, defenseman number 29, Nate Schmidt. Buxton, Howell, and Schmidt, your 3 stars of the game. And now, Gopher fans, at the conclusion of a fantastic season, we are proud to welcome WCHA Commissioner Bruce McLeod to the ice to present the 2011-2012 WCHA Regular Season Championship MacNaughton Cup Trophy to Golden Gopher Captain number 9, Taylor Matson, and the rest of your University of Minnesota Golden Gophers.
Is there a player that more defines this Gopher team this year than their captain, Taylor Matson, who next weekend in his senior year will finally get a chance to play in a playoff game. He's missed the end of his last 3 seasons due to injury, and now he caps his senior year by delivering the MacNaughton Cup to the Gopher fans in the corner.
Those fans have been there through all the ups and downs. The last couple of years has been more downs than up. And Taylor Matson recognizes that and realizes what a great fan base they have here. What dedication from the students. And he got his team together and said, we're going down to the corner. We're going to celebrate with our friends. We're going to celebrate with our fans. An emotional moment for him, no question about it. You're right, nobody better than Taylor Matson. This guy has really fought the good fight and been the ultimate team first guy in his career at the U of M.
And as you heard from Don Lucia in the pregame show tonight, he said, you know what? 20 years from now, when those seniors come back, they'll be able to look up at a banner and know that they were a part of a championship team. And to me, this isn't just any championship team. This is the championship team that returned the Gophers to the top of the WCHA after 3 consecutive disappointing finishes.
This is For a hockey player, this is what it's all about right here. The dog pile at center ice with the hardware, it's why you play the game. And it's a team game first. It's a special game. And that locker room's a special place. And when you earn something like the MacNaughton Cup, one of the premier conferences in college hockey, you have to work awfully hard to get there. You're entitled some time right now to truly celebrate. Don Lucia coming out from the bench now. The coaching staff will join the team. Wow, this is really cool.
Don Lucia, who's not one that shows a tremendous amount of emotion, has been fighting back a grin since this game ended. And what an unbelievable campaign for this Gopher team. And they now head into the playoffs as the #1 seed in the WCHA tournament.
Kent Patterson protecting the cup like he's protected that net all year long perfectly.
Our Abra hit of the game was the hit on Kyle Rao that led to the Gopher power play, that led to the game-winning and championship-clinching goal. This check by Ramage as he sent Rao reeling to the ice. Shortly thereafter, Nate Schmidt with an unbelievable effort at the blue line to hold the zone, and he finds the back of the net on the power play to clinch it for Minnesota.
Might be the goal of the year, and I'll give Kyle Rao a ton of credit. He hasn't always made the best decisions this year. At some points, he's played like a true freshman. At other points, he showed some maturity, and a couple times tonight when he could have retaliated and taken a power play off the board, buckled up that chin strap, skated away, and gave his team the opportunity. And these are all part of that learning curve you have to go through as a rookie in this league. It ain't easy to win in WCHA, and Kyle Rao is such an important part of Minnesota's success, and he showed me something tonight. And hopefully he and the team can build from this next weekend. They've got the revenge playoff series against a team that walked in here last year and swept Minnesota. Time to point to the Seawolves and build off what you did tonight in this building.
Minnesota wins it, and this senior class caps their career at Minnesota with a MacNaughton Cup. Next, they'll pursue the Broadmoor Trophy, and we'll preview all of that. But we'll spend most of the night looking back at what has been a remarkable ride to the top of the conference for the Minnesota Golden Gophers. And they cap it tonight with an emotional come-from-behind 2-1 win over their arch rivals, the Wisconsin Badgers. And Minnesota leaves the ice in sole possession of the top spot in the league. We'll break all of this down. We'll take a look at how they once again rallied in the third. We'll salute the seniors, preview the playoffs, and hear from head coach Don Lucia. All next on Gophers Live, presented by CenturyLink.
you.